Maru is a lonely yet famous loser who quit acting after his mom got sent to spectator mode in an accident. However, after getting rejected by his childhood crush, he jumps back to become an actor, and now all the popular girls want him for his idol Riz. It all starts when Maru is walking home from school and notices his classmate Kachi watching the sunset. She immediately recognizes him as Maru, and the guy can't believe she remembers his name even when he's hideous and has no aura. She claims to remember everyone from her class, and boldly tells him that he should turn back if he came here looking for some sloppy toppy. However, when Maru says he read the novel she wrote, she gets intrigued and asks what he thought about it. Maru's inner monologue starts telling him that this is the time for him to get a shawty on his pole. So after some consideration, he tells Kachi that he absolutely loves her novel. Hearing this, Kachi drops her guard and politely thanks him, revealing she worked super hard to get to this point. Maru has never touched a woman in his life, much like you guys, and this is where he falls in love for the first time. After the summer break, Maru hears guys talking about Kachi getting featured in the magazine. As Maru listens, his friend Kai asks if he's going to the confession festival, but then realizes he doesn't have the balls to.
Emotional, damn it!
He himself is an Ohio Rizzler juggling shotties 7 days a week. Maru remembers Kai got caught cheating before summer break and isn't as popular as he claims to be, but Kai is confident every girl wants to get back shots from him. Maru asks him who he would confess to if he had the chance, and he says Kachi's name just to tease him. Just then, Kachi shows up in the class and some guys start talking about the size of her melons. While confronting them, she says she hates dirty-minded people because they are the scum of the earth, and Maru is satisfied because they had it coming. Kai tells him to stop dreaming because she's out of his league, explaining how she's smart, beautiful, and famous while he's just a waste of space. Maru boldly claims he and Kachi get along pretty well because he talked to her once last winter and realized they lived close to each other. Later, a girl approaches Kachi and asks if she can copy her notes, but Kachi tears them up in front of her and humiliates her. She then makes new notes in the library while shedding tears, unaware that Maru is seeing her cry from behind the bookshelves. Later, Kai tells him to ask Kuroha out instead because he looks out for her and might actually say yes to a loser like him. He also reminds him that the only reason Kuroha might like him back is because she's known him for many years, and Maru admits he really admires her for being so polite and respectful. Just then, Kuroha shows up and is amused to hear Maru say nice things about her. She leans into him and says she likes how cute he is, making the guy go redder than a traffic light. As they keep talking, Kuroha's OnlyFans subscribers get upset because they think Maru is bagging all the hotties in their class. Scared for his life, Maru tries to sneak away, and Kuroha realizes he has been avoiding him ever since she asked him out. Hearing this, the other guys gang up on him, but Kuroha tells them to leave so she can have a private conversation with him. She asks again if he'd like to go out with her, but Maru says he can't even when they have a lot in common. Kuroha said she was just messing with him to see how he would react, and Maru gets frustrated because he thought she was being for real. Just then, they hear Kachi telling her friend that she's going out with a guy named Abe, and the whole class is surprised to hear about this new development. Kai mentions that Abe is also an uprising actor, and realizing his chances of getting laid dropped harder than the Hawk Tuah coin, Maru gets heartbroken and leaves the class early. As he wallows in his misery by the river, Kuroha shows up and sits back to back with him. Maru tells him to leave because he doesn't want to lean on anyone, but Kuroha tells him not to worry because he only asked him out because she lost a dare and they're still close friends. However, when Maru says he knows she is lying, Kuroha embraces him from the back.
サービス。気づいてくれたから、自分が辛い時でも優しくしてくれる。だから、好き。私、自分が選ばれなかったのは悔しいけど、これからも春の味方だよ。
Maru finally opens up to her, complaining how Kachi sorta led him on and then started dating a new guy randomly. Kuroha proposes they get revenge on her, revealing she never liked her in the first place and they don't have to pretend anymore. Maru doesn't want to go so far, but she paints a picture of Kachi getting her pipes unclogged by Abe on their first date, which frustrates him. Eventually, the guy gets motivated and happily agrees to avenge the loss of his first love. At night, while Maru is having dinner, he sees Abe on a talk show talking about his new drama, but turns it off because he believes Abe stole his potential body pillow. The next day, he meets up with Kuroha in the workshop and discusses a plan to make Abe lose all his aura. He believes their breakup will affect both parties and Kachi will come out as a playgirl, which will tank her reputation. However, Kuroha believes this type of revenge will make him feel empty in the end, so he should go for something sweeter. When asked what would make him happy, Maru replies that he would be over the moon if Kachi confessed to him. Hearing this, Kuroha suggests he pretends to date her, explaining how it would make Kachi feel jealous, which might trigger her to drop the tough girl act. Despite liking the plan, Maru asks Kuroha not to sacrifice herself for his sake. However, Kuroha says is happy because she gets to go out with the guy she loves, even when it's fake. Maru is so flustered that he starts sweating bullets, and Kuroha uses this opportunity to get him all hot and bothered. Eventually, Maru agrees to the plan and Kuroha proposes they kiss to seal the deal, which causes him to fall from his bench. He asks Kuroha if she's lost her mind, but she leans into his face and says a kiss wouldn't hurt. When Maru says they might not be able to go back after they do this, Kuroha tells him to stop worrying about the future and leans forward. However, Kachi's image starts playing in Maru's head, so he pushes Kuroha away and runs off like a virgin loser. After asking around for Abi from his classmates, he realizes the guy appears to have no weaknesses, which makes him frustrated. He convinces himself that there must be something Abi is hiding, but the guy himself shows up to confront him. Maru asks what he is doing here, and Abe says he came here to see the genius child actor and his rival. Maru then reveals he was born to a stuntman and an unsuccessful actress, earning him a showbiz spot. Seeing him act made his mother visibly happy, so he kept doing it to satisfy her. Abe doesn't understand why he left the industry 6 years ago when he was so good at what he did. He also recalls his father working with Maru in a play, and all he heard was his old man complimenting him for weeks. Annoyed at not getting any praise himself, Abe decided to become an actor, join Maru's school, and clap his chick just to get back at him for giving him daddy issues. Maru is so angry he grabs him by the collar, but Abe tells him to think carefully about his next move or he might get expelled. Maru gets increasingly frustrated and cannot understand why Kachi would date a man like him to begin with. Abe also reveals he plans to confess to Kachi at the festival, and once she accepts in front of the whole school, it'll maximize Maru's chance of dying a virgin. Later, Maru meets Kai and tells him that he will partake in the play he's holding. Kai understands what's cooking and tells him he'll need a really good script to be Abe in acting. While wondering who can write a banger script for them, their mind points to Kachi, but Maru is too nervous to ask her. Just then, Kuroha shows up and catches everyone's attention by pretending to be his girlfriend. Following that, Kai pushes him to talk to Kachi, and her initial response is that she doesn't like being praised right after she got famous. However, she likes people who challenge themselves, which is why she agrees to help him. She exchanges contact info with Maru, and later that night, she even texts him so they can discuss the play. Before he can call her, Kuroha visits his house and says her sisters are craving some of his curry. Kuroha even offers help in cooking, but Maru tells her to stay away from the kitchen because every meal she cooks is Gordon Ramsay's worst nightmare.
That is f***ing disgusting.
Kuroha also notices that the place is a mess, and Maru says it's because he spent the summer with his irresponsible dad. As Kuroha helps clean the place, she comes across an old picture of Maru with a friend and asks who he is. Maru reveals that guy is Shiro, the son of a sponsor on a drama he did back in the day. He also recalls Shiro promising to write him a story and asking him to play the star in it. While she's staring at the picture, Maru gets a call from Kachi but nervously hides it and goes to his room. Once he picks up the call, Kuroha loudly asks him where he's put the vacuum cleaner, which makes him panic. Kachi hears this and assumes he's in the middle of an in-house date, but instead of getting upset, she says she has absolutely no problem with it and that they should talk tomorrow alone in the library. Later, he tells Kuroha everything, and she believes Kachi is trying to get in his head by exchanging numbers and now calling her on the phone. She also believes Abi is involved too, and he might be cooking something up to humiliate him later. Maru hopes to trample their plans by acting in the play, but Kuroha asks if can he even act in the first place. Maru thanks him for the confidence boost, but he cannot back out now or he will regret it forever. Kuroha says that even if he fails, it's a win-win because he's still packing 8 inches down there, which makes the guy nervous. He tries to counterattack Kuroha by holding her chin and pretending to kiss her, but she knows he ain't got the balls due to so. Kuroha then leans into him to make his North Pole rise, but the guy is saved when he gets a text from Kachi, revealing she's finally written something worth reading. The next day, Maru practices acting with Kai, but suddenly gets cold feet and collapses. Later, he wakes up in the infirmary with Kachi by his side, and she hands him a little bit of what she wrote last night. She also proposes they perform at the confession festival because a lot of people will be watching, and Maru gets so excited that he casually grabs her hands to thank her. She then takes away the script and says he'll need to pay her to see the rest of it, which is a sentence your mother often says to strangers on the street.
Emotional, damn it!
Kachi also reveals she used to watch him when he was an actor, so Maru tells her not to have high expectations because he is not that good anymore. She asks why he's trying to get on stage in the first place, and the guy lies that he just wants to get back to acting. She then asks what happened to him on stage, stating that his answer will be considered payment for the script. Maru tells him about the drama he was in, which rose him to instant fame. The next year, that drama had a sequel and his mother got a big part in it, which was finally going to be her big break in an otherwise dull career. However, during the shoot, she got hit by a car and suffered a fatal injury to the head, leaving Maru utterly devastated. After the incident, the drama was supposed to be cancelled, but Maru cried his eyes out because the work his mother died doing deserved to be completed. Eventually, he managed to convince the producer to finish the drama, and it ended up being the biggest thing in the industry. However, Maru was never approached by the director ever again, and that was the end of his acting career. His story moves Kachi to tears, and she gives him the rest of the script because the payment has been received. As she walks home, she realizes she was a useless fool all those years ago, and watching Maru on TV gave her some confidence. Turns out, Kachi is the daughter of the man who directed the drama that made Maru famous, and once they met at her house, they immediately became friends. One day, she told him if she ever wrote a story, she would want him to play the star in it, and Maru happily agreed. She then wrote several stories so Maru could play in them, but her dad told her that she wouldn't be able to see him again after his mother died. All this time, Maru believed Shiro was actually a boy when in reality she is a girl and her full name is Shiro Kachi. She thought Maru had abandoned her, so she rose to fame to take revenge on him. But after all these years, she realizes she is hurt because Maru was actually her first love. She hated him for so many years, but one honest conversation was all it took to make her wanna spam jump on his pogo stick. At night, Kuroa tells Maru to interrupt Abe's performance on stage, steal the spotlight, and then his girl. However, she believes Kachi is in on the whole thing and plans to reject him in front of everyone to do maximum emotional damage. Despite the risk, Maru wants to go through with this plan and decides to start practicing starting tomorrow. Kuroha reminds him that he can act just fine as long as it makes him happy and wishes him the best of luck. The following night, he starts practicing with Kai, unaware that Kuroha is worried about him. On the day of the festival, Maru and Kai meet Abe in the halls, and the guy is confident regarding the confession he's about to make. Later, Kai admits that this whole revenge idea is actually poo-poo, but he knows Maru is a hopeless virgin, which is why he chose to support him. Following that, he gets into a yukata to serve at the cafe and waits for his turn on stage. Soon after, Kuroha arrives and tries to impress him with her charms, but to no avail. Kai tells Maru that someone has come to see him, and that someone is Kachi in a green jacket and a brown cap. Maru recognizes that his friend Shiro used to wear the same outfit and tries approaching her. But Kachi doesn't want to reveal her identity yet and tells him to keep his distance. Respecting the social distancing, Maru thanks him for showing up to see his play, but Shiro complains about him not coming to see her all these years. Maru replies that a lot happened since they last met, but he still remembers promising to act in one of her stories, which makes Kachi move to tears. Maru then asks what she has been up to, and Shiro reveals she started going to school not long after he disappeared. She even tells him that she started working on her weaknesses and finally got her big break when she debuted as a novelist last year. Much to Maru's surprise, she then slowly walks down the stairs, telling Maru that she did all of this so he could acknowledge her and tap it from the back. She finally takes her cap off and reveals herself as Kachi, explaining that he had mistaken her identity all this time. While Maru was surprised, she also admits it bothered him when he thought she was a boy, which is why she worked hard to get some melons and buns. She was looking forward to seeing him in school, but her heart shattered when she saw Kuroha trying to raise him up. Maru apologizes for the pain he's caused, but she says she can let it go as long as he calls her by her first name Shiro. Maru then asks why she chose to reveal her identity now, and Shiro reveals it's because she wanted to give him a confidence boost for when he returns to the stage. After they part ways, Shiro runs into Kuroha, who claims she was already aware of her identity ever since she saw that picture in Maru's house. Kuroha also believes that even though she's revealed her identity, Shiro cannot win Maru over because she's packing bigger buns than her. She then meets up with Maru and tries her best to hide her jealousy, but the guy can tell she really doesn't like Shiro. He tells Kuroha that it's cute how she acts upset to seek his attention, causing her to cower in the corner with embarrassment. Later, they go around the festival doing NPC side quests until it's time for the closing ceremony. Kuroha admits she was against him returning to acting, but if this is something that makes him happy, then she will support him both morally and orally. When Maru looks at him all sad, she slaps him in the face and tells him their relationship has been reset now, which means he is free to clap whoever he wants. She says she will have to live with it even if he chooses to date Shiro, and runs off hiding her pain with a smile. During the confession festival, many NPCs confess their love in front of the school while Maru cowers in the back like a loser. When his time comes, Kai asks if he is ready and the guy says he is born ready. As Abe walks up on stage, the girls erupt like he's 2013 Justin Bieber. Abe then dedicates a performance to Shiro and starts dancing on stage, but Maru joins him not long after, which makes Shiro happy. As both of them dance like idiots on the stage, Maru ends up outshining Abe, prompting the guy to walk off stage. Kai then arrives with a mic and tells everyone that Maru has a confession to make. Maru gathers his courage and tells Shiro that he was in love with her for a long time, and it broke his heart when she started dating Abe. He took this stage to take revenge on both of them, but now he realizes what he truly feels. He then addresses Kuroha and admits that he wants to clap her instead, much to everyone's shock. He admits she has been his entire support system for years, and he would love it if they took their relationship to the next level. Kuroha is put under the spotlight with a mic, and despite appearing to be shocked, she gently rejects his proposal, making the guy look like a clown, even though he already has the face for it. Later, Abe meets with Kai and admits that Shiro is like a sister to him, and this whole thing was arranged by her to make Maru confess to him. She wanted to take revenge on the guy for not coming to see him for years, but when she saw Kuroha confess to Maru, she went on a whim and said she was dating him instead. Abe told her to retract her statement, but Shiro refused to do that because it would make her look weak. In the end, Abe had to play the bad guy to help them settle their score, but since he admired Maru's acting skills, it made him happy to see the guy return to the stage. Abe then asks why Kuroha rejected Maru, and Kai reveals it's because he rejected her first. Even though she wants to spam the jump button on his joystick, she had to take revenge, but now she is deeply regretting her words. On the other hand, Shiro is also in love with Maru, and just when their dynamic was developing, Maru openly confessed to her arch-rival Kuroha, so she is also wallowing in misery. And lastly, there is Maru himself, who is certainly gonna die a virgin even when he has two shawties lining up to lick his lollipop. The next day, Maru wakes up with the same recurring nightmare of getting rejected by Kuroha. On the other hand, Kuroha is in her bed and blames Maru for this situation.
What?
Her initial plan was to say yes if he confessed to her, but the sweet taste of revenge took over in the final moment. Meanwhile, Shiro is in bed gunning to a plushie of Maru, but then starts yelling at it for choosing another girl after telling her that he loves her. Despite all of that, she still loves the guy and would let him hit it from the back anytime he wants. Later, Kai walks into class and finds all three of them wallowing in misery. Just then, Maru is called to the faculty room through the speakers, and Kai reveals he's gaining a lot of attention from the media after his dance video went viral on YouTube. Even his rejection was broadcast to everyone on the app, and Maru is now known as the guy who got rejected 1,000,000 times. This thing has gotten so huge that even the talk shows are talking about it, and some hosts are planning on inviting Kuroha to their show as well. Maru angrily puts Kai in a headlock, and Kai reveals the only reason he helped him was to get him back in showbiz. While Kuroha and Shiro are watching him in desperation and regret, a brown-haired chick enters the class and clings to Maru. Turns out, she is an insanely popular actress named Maria, who claims she missed him a lot ever since he stopped acting. As Maru praises the work she has been doing, Kuroha and Shiro show up and ask for an explanation. Maria calls them Reject and the Rejected, and promises to give him a sloppy toppy so good he'll forget they even existed. Maru reveals Maria used to work in her agency, and he not only took care of her, but also taught her how to act. She then confesses her love to Maru, adding another problem to his already miserable life. However, Maru just ignores everything like a chill guy and orders himself a pizza. He even forgives Kai for uploading his video because in the end, it will help him return to acting. He then asks Kai how he managed to sneak a pizza into the school, and he says it's all thanks to the busty redhead like your mom who introduces herself as Rina. While she's talking about how she's the handy woman of this school, Maru can't keep his eyes off her jiggle physics. He asks if she'd let him hit it and falls into despair when she tells him no. She then starts poking fun at him for thinking he's got a chance at scoring with his chicken bone body, which adds more to his misery. Turns out Kai and Rina had known each other for years, and he often seeks her help because she knows how to get things done. Just then, Shiro nervously approaches her, and after some encouragement from her friend Mako, she asks the guy to go out with her. However, Mako corrects her by saying she merely wants him to come with her because her father wants to see how he's doing. She then invites him to her house but tells him not to get any wrong ideas. She then scolds Kai for uploading her video without permission, and Maru promises to give him a scolding later. Just then, Kuroha approaches him to discuss her true feelings, but Maru gets PTSD from getting rejected and hides behind Shiro. While Kuroha is saddened, Shiro savors the moment because she believes she's won this battle on who gets to have Maru. She then tells Kuroha that Maru is not comfortable having her around and tells her to stay away from him until he's okay. With a heavy heart, Kuroha silently leaves the classroom with tears in her eyes. Later, while Maru is skipping stones, he gets a call from Kai who tells him that the press has left his house and he should check on Kuroha when he returns home. Kai even asks if he hates Kuroha, but Maru says he doesn't and he had it coming after what he did to her. However, Maru is scared because he does not understand what she truly feels, even when they have known each other for years. After the call ends, Kai approaches Kuroha and tells her everything Maru said, hoping it'll bridge the gap between them. As Maru enters his house, he finds Maria dressed as a maid who drags him in and asks if he'd like to get his willy won't or eat first. Maru is shocked and asks how she got the keys to his house, and Maria just responds with a smile. She then explains she got the key from his mother long ago and has prepared a meal of every dish that he likes. Upon tasting, Maru is taken back to the days when his mother used to cook for him and thanks her for the food. He then realizes she is the one who told the news reporters to leave him alone and is impressed at how she became so popular despite being a little troublemaker. Maria says it brings back a lot of memories, and everything she is today is all thanks to him. She then reveals she wanted to see him once he retired but could not sum up the courage to do so because they parted ways in such a sad manner. However, when she saw the video of him dancing on stage, she realized he was still the Maru she loved and he was the only person who could help him. Maru asks what she needs help with, and she slides him a card from Hardy, the CEO of Hadri Pro. Last he checked, Aunt Nina was the CEO of the agency, but Hardy took over temporarily when she fell sick. Even though Nina recovered quickly, she wanted to enjoy the rest of her life and never returned to the agency. Hardy saw Maru's video on the internet and asked Maria to convince him to return to showbiz. She gives him a second card too and tells him to give it to Kuroha because Hardy has also taken an interest in her. Just then, Kuroha's sisters Midori, Aoi, and Akane show up at the door, so he tells Maria to hide. He then asks why they are here, and the girls tell him Kuroha has developed amnesia. Turns out she's acting like she's got an extra chromosome and eating foods she usually doesn't like. Just then, Maria shows herself and Midori starts to think she's the rebound girl after he got rejected by Kuroha. However, once Maru introduces her, the girls immediately start gushing over her because they've seen her on TV. Maru tells Maria that these girls are Kuroha's sisters, and since they live next door, they've always acted like his own sisters. He starts introducing them one by one, starting with Midori, who's got the biggest melons, is a little violent, and plays tennis on a professional level. Next up is Aoi, a first-year student who's a kind and shy angel. The last one is Aoi's twin Akane, a prodigy who passed level 1 of the global mathematics certification and is a genius altogether. Combined with Kuroha, they are known as the Colorful Sisters, each crazier than the other. Maria believes they are technically also her sisters and tells them to call her Nizan. When she clings to Maru, Midori pulls her away and tells her not to claim the guy all to himself because he's also their brother. She tells her that she'll never call her Nisan, but Maria says she was planning on posting their picture on her social media page. Midori is tempted but quickly realizes it's a body and tells her to skedaddle before they gang up 3-1 on her. After some more teasing, Maria agrees to leave for the day, only because he has to check in on Kuroha. Later, the girls tell him that Kuroha's memories from the time she got rejected to the day of the festival are erased, and Maru is shocked they know about her confession. Midori says Kuroha didn't tell her, but she can tell these things because she is also a woman. They then ask Maru to help, but the guy is still terrified to see her after he got rejected. On top of that, if he starts thinking he's the reason Kuroha lost her memories, he might just game end himself. They then tell him that Kuroha will talk to him in the morning, and as they leave, they ask if he will go back to showbiz. He says he hasn't decided yet, so Akane advises him not to run away from love, no matter what he chooses. The next day, as he leaves his house, he runs into Kuroha waiting for him outside. He asks how much she remembers, and she says she remembers up to the time she decided to confess to him. She also watched the video of her rejecting him and cannot understand why she did that even though she's giving him tributes every night in her mind. She then asks Maru if he'd still tap after the rejection, but when he hesitates to reply, she tells him he doesn't have to answer anymore. But when she tries to grab his hand, Maru instinctively steps back, making her realize he's more hurt than she initially thought. She promises she'll keep trying, and Maru asks her to stay by his side because he really wants to get over this trauma. Just then, Shiro arrives in her car and tells him that a lot of press is waiting to interview him in front of the school, so he should take the ride with her to avoid them. On the way, Shiro notices that Kuroha is acting differently, and Maru tells her she seems to have a bit of memory loss. Kuroha, not remembering their history, asks why he's acting so friendly with Kachi and demands to know the nature of their relationship. Seeing the anger in her eyes, Shiro believes Kuroha hasn't actually lost her memories, which gives Maru an idea to fix her. He invites Kuroha to the library prep room to have lunch with him and gives her a lunchbox he's prepared. It contains a batch of octopus sausages, hoping it will remind her of the time she had them on a picnic. She absolutely hated them back then, but now she just closes her eyes and asks Maru to put it in her mouth. Maru comments she looks cute with her face like this, and Kuroha gets so flustered she starts smacking his face with a water bottle. Maru then feeds her the octopus sausage, and when she gobbles it up like your mom, he starts to think that she might actually have amnesia. She then asks if he plans to join his old agency, which reminds him of the card he was supposed to give her. He says the president has taken an interest in both of them, but he still hasn't decided if he wants to go or not. Kuroha says she doesn't want him to return to acting because it has caused her a lot of pain, but he looked happy dancing in that video, so he should do what makes him happy. He then reminds her that it was her own advice that encouraged him to go on stage, and it is sad that she doesn't even remember it. Maru turns around and starts crying, but Kuroha hugs him from the back and thanks him for caring so much about her. She promises to go to the agency with him, not because she wants to act, but because she wants to see what decision he makes. Just then, Shiro barges into the room and asks if he's really planning to return to showbiz. When Kai reveals she was listening in on the whole thing, Shiro hides behind Maru and starts fake crying to put the boys against each other. Maru is such a simp, he smacks Kai in the head and then asks Shiro if she'd let him hit it from the back now. Later, Shiro reveals she wants to see Maru perform in a play she wrote, which means she is in favor of him returning to showbiz. However, Kai reminds him that he won't be able to enjoy his school life if he joins an agency, so it is best if he waits till graduation. He wants to create an entertainment club and also tells Shiro that she doesn't have to star in a film or a TV show for one of her scripts to make it big time. He also believes Shiro's presence is important for Maru to shine the brightest, which is why she should stay more often in school. Kuroha can tell he isn't the type to push others and asks what his true motive is. Kai admits he has another reason for bringing them all together, but won't reveal it yet. Maru tells them not to pressure Kai and just move on because he will never tell them unless he wants to. He then hands them the plan for their club, revealing that Kuroha will also be one of the founding members along with them. Maru then decides to take the plans home so he can decide whether to join the club or the agency, but Kai wants to accompany him when he goes to the agency. Shiro says she also wants to go because she is interested to hear what's been discussed. Remembering Akane's advice to take things lightly, Maru happily agrees to go take them all with him. Later, he meets Maria outside the agency and recalls this is the place where he met her for the first time. Maria used to throw hands with him daily, but now she just wants to throw him on the bed and ride him like a roller coaster. Maria then reveals she found him really boring back in the day, but when the cameras were on, he turned into a really cool guy. Just then, the rest of the gang shows up, and they all head inside to meet President Shun. Maru immediately starts glazing the guy as he owes him money, but Shun is unfazed and asks if he is gonna make a comeback or not. Maru says he has to focus on school, but Shun thinks this is the time to strike big in the industry. He also turns to Kuroha and urges her to make a debut, but she gently rejects the offer. He lures her in by saying she can earn up to 100 million in 3 years, and Maru can make 3 times more if things go as he has planned. Maru gets excited thinking he can make Rina give him a sloppy toppy with that much money, but all 3 of the girls claim to torture him to death if he ever so looks at another woman. Shun reveals he wants to cast both of them in a commercial and urges Kuroha to join, but she sternly rejects the offer. When Shun starts insulting her, Maru spills a drink on his head and dares him not to insult his childhood friend ever again. Instead of apologizing, Shun starts dissing all of them and Kai is so ready to wipe the floor with his face. Maru stops the guy from getting violent, and Shun calls security to arrest them. However, he's told something urgent on the phone and leaves for a moment, so Kai tells Maru to deny everything and blames Shun for dumping wine on his own head. While everyone agrees to tell the fake story, Kuroha advises him not to lie and scolds him for throwing away his only shot at returning to showbiz. Just then, Shun enters the room with Shiro's father Soichiro, who reveals he is the one who wanted to hire Kuroha and Maru for the commercial. They then tell the truth to Soichiro, and Shiro speaks in favor of Maru, explaining whatever he did was to defend someone he loves. Maria suggests they solve this matter peacefully, but Shun believes he's a victim and the boys deserve to go to jail for their actions. In the end, Maria suggests a commercial contest, and if Shun wins, Maru and Kuroha must join his agency. But if they win instead, he must drop all charges against them. She then asks Soichiro to play the judge on 2 separate commercial ideas, and even plans to create an audience poll where people can vote for their favorite commercial. With all the production aspects arranged by an agency called Ultramarine Alliance, Maria decides to be a part of Maru's commercial because she wants to show her that even though she's still flat as a pancake, she's grown in other departments. The next day, the squad holds the first ever meeting of the entertainment club where they discuss a sports drink, which is the product they have to promote using a commercial. At night, Maria recalls how her elder sister took her in after her parents skedaddled, and she worked day and night to support her. Seeing her lose precious years of her life made Maria hate their condition, so she scouted some showbiz agencies until one of them hired her. At the Shuns, she had the pleasure of meeting Maru, and even though she acted like a brat, the guy would somehow always find a way to cheer her up. Eventually, Maria embraced him as her older brother until the day he decided to quit acting. Just then, Maria's elder sister Eri returns home from her part-time job, and the 2 decide to have snacks together. Following that, Eri asks Maria to show her what they have recorded, and Maria plays the video for her. Eri likes the energy it brings, but Maria believes they're straying away from the product and will need to improve a lot if they plan on beating Shun. She calls Maru to give him some pointers, but the guy says he's too busy right now and will get back to her later. Turns out he's having another take at the commercial that is less youthful and more cyberpunk themed. Both Maria and Eri are surprised to see his unique take on the product, and Maria is moved to see her mentor return to action. Following that, the gang celebrates their win by popular vote but has to cut it short because Soichiro has shown up at the gate to pick them up. Inside the car, Soichiro tells Cad that he looked into his background and learned that he is actually the son of Shun Hardy. Kai approached Maru because he wanted to use him to get revenge on his despised father and the agency he's connected to. After Abe leaves the car, he runs into Abe, who says he was working behind the scenes to make sure the agency doesn't come after him for trying to defame them. Kai asks what he hopes to gain from helping him, and Abe says he is only after some gossip. Kai admits that even though they've all won here, the real winners are him and Kuroha. He then tells him that he and Kuroha had a conversation about their own goals in private, and she could immediately tell he was hiding something. Kai vaguely told her that Shun Hardy is a scumbag, and he wants to teach him a lesson, and he will use Maru to do so. Kuroha had her own goals in mind and pretended to have amnesia so Maru could get over the trauma of getting rejected. Besides, Maru gets really angry when someone is being mean to the people he cares about, so if Shun is as bad as Kai claims, Maru will try to fight him and ruin his chances of returning to showbiz. In the end, not only did Kai get revenge on his dad, but Kuroha also managed to get rid of Maru's trauma. However, Maria is secretly a winner as well because she used Hardy to have Maru transfer her into the same school as him, giving her more chances to get closer to him. The other girls are definitely not too happy about it, but Maru seeks Rina's help to evade them. She then asks why he's friends with Kai even though they're always fighting, and Maru reveals it's because he is the only person who treated him the same before and after he started acting. Later that, Maru walks home with Kuroha, and she suddenly starts talking about his tanking grades, recalling how he slept through the entire summer course. Maru then asks how she remembers the summer classes when she claims to have amnesia, and she hits him with "Psych!" much to his frustration. The guy cannot believe he got tricked so hard and explains he was so worried for her that he even cried for her sake. He asks Kuroha why she felt the need to lie to him, and she tells him to figure it out on his own because it is pretty obvious. However, this starts a friendly argument between the two, and Maru says he will forgive her if she gives him a proper explanation for why he lied to her. Kuroha says he should be the one asking for forgiveness because she did so much, and he didn't pick up any of her hints. In the end, she smacks him with her school bag and runs off without explaining anything. At night, Maru regrets fighting Kuroha and wonders how he can make it up to her. Remembering her sadistic side, Maru believes he will be tortured and should beg for forgiveness before she starts torturing him. The angel on his shoulder tells him that Kuroha did it to mend their relationship, but the devil questions why she rejected him if she really cared. Meanwhile, Kuroha is frustrated because Maru can't read her mind and worries other girls might steal him from her. She doesn't even want to talk because she worries they will end up fighting, so she wonders if there is anything they can do to fix it. Meanwhile, Shiro is in distress over Maru and Kuroha getting close again and calls Kei to ask if he's still in cahoots with Kuroha. Kai says their collaboration ended when they finished shooting the commercial, so now he will support whichever side is more interesting. Shiro then hits him with a proposal of sorts, piquing Kei's interest. The next day, Kai welcomes Maria to the school and explains the basic structure of the Ultramarine Alliance, which is the name of their channel. He says each founding member has the right to propose, vote, and veto any ideas, but they must partake in every project to have that power. Those who do not have these powers are called unofficial members, and the first one is Rina, who is serving as the camera girl. He also mentions that about 80% of the people wanting to join their club are men, which is why they need to vote even on who gets to join. Kai then gives them their first proposal, which is to shoot a music video wearing swimsuits. Their ultimate goal is to put Ultramarine's name out, so even if the music and dancing sucks, it'll work fine if their video draws attention. As the boys shake hands on it, Kuroha protests because they're putting her in a swimsuit. Maru begs her to let him take a look at her honka-honkas, but Maria and Shiro agree with her and vote not to wear the swimsuits. However, Shiro is skeptical Maria will try to deceive her later, so she demands they make changes to the plan right now or she will use her veto power. Seeing her yap non-stop, Kai removes the part about swimsuits and then puts the plan to a vote, passing it 3-2. This means one of the girls voted yes, and Shiro believes it was Kuroha because she wants a chance to reconcile with Maru. Kai tells them to dissolve the argument because everyone has the right to vote whatever they want and proposes they stay at the Okinawa resort for 3 days to make the video. Kuroha says she can't leave her sisters alone, so Kai tells her to bring them along as unofficial members. However, Midori has her mock exam on Saturday, and Aoi has her club, so Kai proposes they delay the shoot by 1 day so they can make it as well. Kuroha argues that they should just postpone it, but Kei says he needs to make this summer memorable, and that is the main reason he formed this club. Since they need more helpers, Shiro calls her friend Mako and invites her as well, but she turns her down. Regardless, Maru is excited to go out and touch some grass, but Kuroha reminds him that he scored poorly on the test and has to study for the midterms. She then asks Kai if they can double this trip as a study camp, and Kai agrees because it would be bad for the club if Maru fails. They ask where they will be staying, and Kai reveals Shiro's dad has lent them his villa and private beach. Kuroha immediately realizes Shiro and Kai were working together, and she had him write swimsuits so she can make him remove it later and appear innocent. Maru defends Shiro because he believes Kuroha is sussing her way too much, which starts another argument between the two. At night, Kuroha sends Aoi to Maru's place to help clean it up, and Aoi starts singing out of habit, which he finds rather cute. However, once she realizes he is listening, Aoi gets super embarrassed and hides her face. Later, the two get together to have dinner, and Aoi asks if he and Kuroha had a fight. Maru doesn't want to discuss it with Aoi, but she insists he tells her so she can help them both. Maru tells her everything, and Aoi believes this situation is way too complicated to give a simple answer. She also thinks both of them are at fault, but since they clearly are into each other, they should take their problems to Pound Town. Maru says he doesn't know what Kuroha truly feels because she keeps lying to him. But Aoi says not everyone is as emotionally open as he is. Aoi admits Kuroha is in the wrong here, but she also wants Maru to accept her with an open mind. She advises Maru to really think about what he wants and only go for Kuroha if he really wants to clap her from the back. She also warns him that people often end up together on trips because they are excited, and if it were to happen to him, he might regret it later. Maru is a bit moved because this isn't something Aoi would usually say, but Aoi believes every shotty in the Ultramarine gives a next-level guac, which is why she felt the need to warn him. Meanwhile, Kai recalls Suichiro telling him that he looked into Rina as well, and Kai reveals she is her sister from another mother. Suichiro promised he wouldn't tell anyone and would do anything he wanted him to. Just then, he gets a call from Shiro who wants to thank him for keeping everyone in check during the meeting. Kai asks what her ultimate goal is, and Shiro reveals she wants Maru to confess to her. After the call ends, Kai tells himself that their club will turn into a dumpster fire if Maru gets a girlfriend, so it is in his best interest to make sure Maru dies a virgin. The next day, Eri drops the gang off at the villa and asks Maru which one of the girls he wants to clap the most. She says she couldn't care about the rest, but if he pumps and dumps her sister, she'll give him a second circumcision. Later, they head to the market to buy groceries, and Shiro is shocked to learn that Maria can cook, unlike most actresses. When Maria starts teasing her about being one of those actresses, she gets triggered and challenges her to a cooking contest. Eri shows up to select the theme of the dish, and while Shiro wants it to be fried chicken, they end up choosing a hot pot. While buying ingredients, Maria notices that Rina is staying on the sidelines and only recording, so she asks her to join them as well. As they get together to have lunch, Maru watches Kuroha from the outside, and Kai can tell he's thinking about how to patch up with her. Maru asks what he would do in this situation, and Kei says he'd clap every chick he comes across and become the next Genghis Khan. The boys then leave to get some ice cream, unaware that Maria and Rina are listening in on their conversation. Maria then comments how Maru is more on the rational side, and since Kai often gives him wild ideas, a part of him envies Kai because he also wants to be a little freaky. She is excited to learn that Maru isn't exactly against the idea of building a harem because she is falling behind both Shiro and Kuroha. The best course of action for Maria is to make him notice her while the other two are preventing each other from jumping on his love stick. Later, they arrive at the villa and Maru gets on his knees to thank Shiro for letting them stay here, which weirds her out. Once they step inside, the gang is shocked to see how luxurious the place really is. Shiro tells them there are 5 bedrooms that they can split accordingly, so Maria jumps the gun and asks Maru to be her roommate. However, they put her up with Eri in one room, Maru and Kai in the other, Shiro and Rina in the third room, and Kuroha and her sisters, who will arrive tomorrow, are given the remaining 2 rooms. Back in the city, while Kuroha is practicing her dance moves, Akane reminds her that Maru is out spending time with the other girls and skipping out on studying. Imagining him getting all cuddly with other girls pisses Kuroha off, so much so that Akane has to call for backup to hold her back. Later, while Rina is filming them playing beach ball, Kai asks her to join them since they aren't allowed to record in swimsuits anyway. She happily changes into her swimsuit to join them, but when Maru starts gawking at her enormous melons, Kai hits him with a clothesline. Just then, Maru gets a text from Shiro who wants to show him her swimsuit, but not in front of everyone. She invites him to a private area of the beach, and the guy immediately runs off hoping he can finally tap some shoddy from the back. Once he gets there, Shiro finally puts her assets on display and the guy has to try really hard not to go ooga booga on her. When she asks how she looks, Maru nervously says she looks gorgeous. Shiro falls to her knees and tears up, revealing how she's waited so long to hear these words. She then casually sits on Maru's lap and is about to slide it in, only for the moment to be disrupted by a phone call. Turns out the whole gang was eyeing them all this time and even recorded a video to blackmail Shiro later. Later, Rina and Maru study together, but the latter is more focused on watching Maria practice her dance moves. When Kai asks Shiro to show some moves as well, they realize she knows nothing about dancing. Maru decides to try it himself so he can teach Shiro how to look cute. Turns out, Maru does in fact look quite attractive while dancing, and Rina is frustrated as to why the plot gods gave him so much talent. He then reveals he was terrible at dancing until he found someone to dance for, so he advises Shiro to do this to make someone she loves happy. Later, While Maria is preparing for the cooking contest, she tells Maru that Shiro walked out without saying a word, prompting the guy to go after her. He finds her lamenting by the beach over her lack of culinary prowess, and when she asks him to leave her alone, Maru tells her she doesn't have to act like a girl boss around him. He advises her to be honest with herself instead and thanks him for trying to learn his favorite recipes. Since Shiro practiced making fried chicken, Maru asks her to drop the hot pot and go for what she knows. The guy manages to brighten Shiro's mood, so much so that they are about to kiss. However, when he recalls what Aoi said to her, he backs out at the last second, which makes Shiro sad. The next day, Kuroha arrives at the villa with her 3 sisters to make Maru's life even more miserable. Just like a nosy ex who can't see you be happy, Kuroha immediately starts picking on the guy, but Midori holds her back and tells her this is not the place to argue. Later, they gather to discuss what's next, and Kai asks Kuroha to show her singing and dancing. After the rehearsal, Kai concludes that while Maria is the best, Kuroha and Shiro are not far behind and are improving rapidly. Maru goes up to Shiro to personally praise her, and while the two talk, Kuroha watches them with jealousy. Later, the sisters arrive at the beach in swimsuits, and Maru immediately creams after seeing Kuroha. Rina shows up holding a watermelon, but Maru is more focused on the jiggle physics of her own melons. As they scatter to play Sukawari, Midori comments that Shiro is even prettier in person, which makes Kuroha upset. She tells Kuroha that Shiro is above her in both height and cup size, and when Kuroha charms her with her etiquette, Midori believes she even has a better personality than her sister. Midori then hides behind Maru to avoid getting scolded, but Kuroha grabs Maru by the ear and drags him away for a private conversation. She then asks why he's been avoiding her, and Maru replies it's because she lied to him and hasn't even apologized. Kuroha then activates her Donnie Mommy mode and tells Maru that she'll give her oral support 10 times a day until he folds.
Damn good deal.
Later, Maru takes a dive in the water, and Kuroha shows up once again to give him an underwater gawk gawk. She keeps tempting him throughout the day until he loses his mind and bangs his head against the wall. Later, it's time for him to study, and Kuroha prepares a test for him. While taking the test, he realizes Kuroha made it based on all the problems he got wrong in the previous one, so he can get the A while she gets the D later. Maru helps set up the stage, and Akane says she is surprised to see that he actually has a social life and chicks dying to get on his ding-dong. When Akane says she feels left out in the group, Maru involves her by asking her to set up the entire speaker system on stage. Later, while the group enjoys a barbecue, Maru notices that Shiro is pressing her ankle and advises her to take it easy because she's been at it for 2 whole days. Concerned for her safety, he asks Midori to take a look at Shiro, which makes Kuroha jealous. At night, Maru struggles to sleep, and when he goes to the balcony, he finds Shiro practicing by the beach. Instead of approaching her, he hides behind a tree and overhears her talking to Meiko on the phone. She tells her that she has no intention of keeping up with Maru, but rather to watch from a safe distance and be there when he needs help. She wants their dynamic to be based on give and take and promises to become someone Maru can rely on. She then goes back to dancing under the moon, and even though she's struggling with her sprained ankle, Maru watches from the distance because he knows she doesn't want to rely on him. The guy tears up realizing that first love never dies, unaware that Aoi and Akane are watching him from the balcony. Akane says her heart hurts whenever she sees Maru in this state, and Aoi embraces her to show her support. Aoi also believes that love is a poison that slowly eats her from the inside, and every remedy is a lie that only subdues the pain but doesn't remove the poison. The next day, Maru arrives on the stage and immediately checks up on Shiro's ankle, making Kuroha feel jealous. Later, all 3 of them get on stage and perform their dance routine. Kai wants to have another take at it, but Maru tells him to settle with what they have because he's concerned about Shiro's ankle. Just then, Shiro walks off stage and her ankle gives out, so Maru quickly runs in to grab her before she falls. However, he ends up breaking his arm in the process and Shiro starts blaming herself for the whole mess. Later, Kai is going through the footage in the club room when Abe enters and asks for some brand new gossip. Kai believes that Shiro came out on top this time because seeing the damsel in distress made Maru's primal instincts kick in. Abe concludes that instead of Kuroha who keeps pushing herself onto the guy, Maru must prefer a clumsy girl who always does her best. Meanwhile, Shiro's father tells Maru that since she is responsible for injuring him, she will be staying at his place until his arm is fully healed. Kuroha argues that it's not appropriate for them to live under the same roof, but this is exactly why Soichiro will also be sending a maid named Cheyenne. Later, Maru daydreams of Shiro serving him food and then her body for dessert. But he's got a more pressing problem because Shiro, Kuroha, and even Maria have all shown up at his place to take care of him. At dinner, he asks the girls to try and get along for the duration of their stay. Just then, Kuroha's sisters show up to give him clothes and study material, and Maru uses this opportunity to ask Aoi and Akane if they had fun on the trip. However, both of them run off without saying a word, making him wonder if he did anything to upset them. Midori jokes that they're disgusted by him clapping every shoddy he comes across, and when Maru playfully grabs her hand, she tells him not to touch her anymore because it makes her sprinkler malfunction. After Midori leaves, Kuroha whispers in his ear that he can touch her all he wants, but her plans of getting railed are ruined when her mother calls her and tells her she can't stay the night. Maria's parents also tell her to come home, so she has to leave early. Meanwhile, Cheyenne tells Maru not to be so full of himself, but refuses to explain any further because Shiro told her not to. However, that doesn't stop her from throwing a whole diss track into Maru's face, calling him a virgin loser with no personality, much like y'all. When Shiro returns, Cheyenne goes back to acting normal and tells Shiro that the bath is ready. However, Shiro says it's better if Maru bathes first because she has to wash his back anyway. Meanwhile, Kuroha returns home and reflects on her conversation with Shiro outside Maru's house. Shiro tells her that she stands no chance against her, but Kuroha refuses to give up and vows to make Maru confess to her again. The next day, Maria officially joins their school and immediately becomes an eye candy for all the Discord mods in the crowd. While she charms the crowd with her etiquette, Maru notices that Cheyenne also goes to the same school as them. Later in class, Maria cuddles up to Maru, which makes him a target for her simps, but before they can lay a finger on her, Shiro sternly tells them she'll break their bones if they ever so look at him funny. She then asks Maria to stop putting Maru in trouble and urges her to return to her own class. She then feeds the guy with her own hands, and Kuroha has no choice but to watch from a distance. Later, he meets Kuroha on the roof, and she asks if he finally got a shoddy on his ding-dong last night. Maru tells her that nothing happened between him and Shiro and that she should trust him a little. She then apologizes for teasing him on the trip, but Maru says he loves it when she does so. Just as the two mend their relationship, they get a text from Kai who invites them to an urgent club meeting. Later, he tells the group that a news channel wants to make a documentary of how Maru disappeared from showbiz and then made a return from that one video that blew off. However, the girls are against the whole thing because it might tell a fake story, especially Kuroha, because she remembers how badly Maru was hurt after his mother died. To make sure they only tell the truth, Kai proposes they create the documentary using their Ultramarine Alliance channel. They try to theme the documentary based on the last show Maru did, which gets Maria hyped up because she also played a part in that role. In that show, Maru played the role of Ren, who used to live in poverty with her mother. One day, she died tragically in an accident, and when Ren learned her death was staged, he swore revenge. After a few years, Ren finally made it to the top and took out those who game-ended her mother, but a tragic fate awaited him. The next scene was placed 6 years later, so the production had to hire another action because Maru wasn't old enough for the role. However, he is now at the right age, and Kai suggests they shoot the ending of the series with their own story. He leaves the decision to Maru and tells him to put a pause on it until he's done with the exams. Later, Shiro, Kuroha, and Maria meet up in a cafe to discuss how they've been getting a little too cuddly with Maru. This puts them at odds until Shiro suggests they impose limitations and each goes on a date with the guy once. All three of them agree to this plan, hoping they can charm their way into Maru's pants. The next day, Maru wakes up to Cheyenne signing his plaster, but when he confronts her, she says she didn't do it even when he saw her do it. When Kuroha enters the room, Cheyenne tells her that Maru is trying to swipe her V-card, but she calls BS and punishes him in unthinkable ways. Later, Maru receives a text from Maru and sees that the story of his return and his mother's death has become the front page of a magazine. Later, they call a club meeting and discuss how several news articles have twisted the story of how she died as they please, making Maru believe it was all done by Shun to throw them off. Maria is furious and wants to take action, but Kai advises all of them to keep a cool head or they will fall right into Shun's trap. He then proposes a plan to counter Shun, revealing that the biggest TV company, Collect Japan, has offered to cover Maru's story. Maru is excited to work with them, and Kai suggests they start recording the documentary. Since all three of the girls have some part to play in Maru's past, they decide to conduct interviews so only the truth gets out. After Kai gives them the green light, Shiro invites him over and sets up the camera in her room to conduct the interview. Maru reveals how everyone except Shiro treated him differently back then because of his popularity, which is why Shiro became an important person in his life. Shiro recalls when Maru took her outside the house to show her the Tokyo Tower, and it was a big deal for her because she wasn't going to school and wouldn't even leave her room. Having Maru by her side made it much easier to leave the room, but she could not bring herself to leave the house. Maru did not give up and continued to motivate Shiro until she realized that she could do anything with him by her side. That day, Shiro left her house for the first time, but they could not make it to the tower because a bunch of people swarmed them at the station. Shiro thanks Maru for turning her life around back then and is about to kiss him, but then backs out because they are on camera. Maru then asks if she would like to go to the Tokyo Tower with him, and Shiro eagerly agrees. After a trip to the tower, Maru returns home happy and Cheyenne immediately asks Maru what he did to her. Maru shows her the pictures they took at the Tokyo Tower, and Cheyenne loses her mind at just how cute Shiro looks. Maru then proposes that she becomes friendlier towards him in exchange for getting more of these pictures, and Cheyenne hesitantly agrees. Meanwhile, Shiro is in her room, celebrating her victory because she believes she went on a date with Maru. The next day, she goes to Maru's room to wake him up but decides to kiss him while he's asleep. However, Maria slams open the door and ruins her plans. As she gives Maru a change of clothes, she notices that the guy has hard abs and starts feeling them. Shiro gets jealous and joins her as well, and when Shan enters the room, it looks like Bro is getting Gok special in co-op mode. Later, Maria takes him for the day and recalls how Maru promised to wait for her until she becomes as big as he used to be. With that new goal in mind, Maria worked twice as hard and became a star, and even learned Maru's favorite foods from his mother so she could impress him. Maria wants to help him remember all the good and bad times they spent together, hoping that once he realizes he can share everything with her, he'll finally share the bed with her too. She then brings Maru to the spot where his mother was hit by a car and asks him to share how she died while she records on her phone. With a heavy heart, Maru shares the real story of how her mother died. Turns out the car never made contact with her. In reality, she tried to sell the impact but accidentally overdid it, causing her head to hit the road. With her death, the show was supposed to be cancelled, but Maru opposed it more than anyone else because her mother died playing that role. To make sure her work doesn't go to waste, Maru put everything he had into his role, but once the shooting was over, he finally realized what he had lost and could never act again. Maria asks him how he feels in the moment, but Maru says he cannot understand his own emotions. Maria is taken back to the time when Maru pretended to be okay to finish the show and breaks down in tears. She apologizes to Maru for not noticing how hurt he was back then and laments over her own incompetence. When Maru comforts her with a smile, she reveals she loved his mother because she was always so kind and gentle towards her. She admits being heartbroken upon hearing about her death, allowing Maru to understand his own emotions. After all these years, Maru finds it in himself to face his tucked emotions, and Maria gives the guy a shoulder to cry on. After bawling his eyes out, Maru and Maria return home and go back to being their usual selves. Just then, Maria demands a kiss to make up for everything, but Cheyenne comes running in with a whistle to discipline them. To make her fold, Maria suggests looking at Maru's old photo album, which also has pictures of Shiro from years ago. Cheyenne loses her mind, imagining how cute Shiro looked back then, and lets them off the hook if they show her the pictures. At school, Kai lets Maru know that the girls will be taking part in the play, and because of that, they need to act quickly while things are still calm in the media and no major drama is stirring up. Since the attention on Maru has settled down a bit, this is the perfect time to move forward with their plans. Later in the day, Kuroha arrives to pick Maru up for their date, and instead of heading to a restaurant or a busy place, she takes him on a peaceful walk. As they stroll together, Kuroha finds herself lost in thought, reflecting on the journey of their relationship and how long she has truly loved Maru. Her feelings for him weren't something that developed recently. She had loved him ever since their old days, way before he became famous and gained public recognition. To her and her sisters, Maru was never just a celebrity or some distant figure, but a part of their family. Even after he suddenly disappeared from the public eye and people began spreading all sorts of negative rumors about him, they never stopped caring about him. In her heart, he remained the same Maru she had always known. She realizes that she has witnessed every version of him, but there is still one side of him that she has yet to truly see. One day, she began noticing that Maru had stopped visiting as often, and her curiosity got the best of her. She decided to secretly follow him. That was when she discovered a cave that held special meaning to both of them. Now, as she leads him toward that very same place, Maru instantly recognizes it the moment he lays eyes on it. A wave of nostalgia washes over him because this cave was his personal sanctuary. Years ago, they spent countless hours there, playing, talking, and finding comfort in each other's company. It was a place where Maru felt safe, where the world's troubles seemed to fade away. As they sit in front of the cave, they take a moment to appreciate the peaceful atmosphere surrounding them. After spending some time reminiscing about the past, they eventually leave the cave and make their way to the open field. It is there that Kuroha finally gathers the courage to confess her feelings, telling Maru directly that she loves him and that this time, she is being completely serious. Her words make Maru think back to the time he confessed to her at the festival, only to be rejected. Confused, he asks her why she turned him down back then, and Kuroha mischievously admits that she only did it because she wanted payback for the time he rejected her in class. Hearing this, Maru feels a mix of emotions, and his frustration spills out as he tells her how much it bothered him that she always kept her feelings to herself instead of just being honest with him. Even so, knowing that she is finally expressing her true emotions now gives him a sense of relief. Kuroha then looks at him and asks him to give her an answer. However, at that very moment, Maru suddenly remembers that he has two other girls who have already confessed their love to him as well. His mind becomes a chaotic mess as he realizes that while he does love Kuroha, his feelings are not exclusive to just her. But before he can fully process his thoughts, Kuroha cuts him off, telling him that his time is up. She explains that if he takes longer than 10 seconds to respond, it automatically means he isn't fully devoted to her and is clearly thinking about someone else. She then suggests a situationship where she will be his childhood girlfriend, meaning that she will have the right to date him in the future once the timing feels right. Maru, realizing what this means for him, finds himself liking this idea a lot because it essentially allows him to pump and dump like your dad did to your mom. However, just as he starts getting excited about getting sloppy toppies, Kuroha quickly reminds him that if he so much as kisses her, then they will officially be a couple and there will be no going back. With that established, she tells him to keep their relationship a secret, and they happily make their way back home. The next day at school, Abe approaches Kai and tells him that he has watched Maru's documentary. He points out that Kuroha made an incredibly smart move because in the end, she neither got rejected nor fully accepted. Instead, she created a loophole for herself, securing the possibility of a romantic relationship without actually putting herself in a vulnerable position. Later on, Kai informs Maru that he has become quite the sensation at school, with an entire fan club of girls swooning over him. However, his main girls are standing guard and making sure that none of these new admirers can get anywhere near him. That's it for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to see more recaps like this. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.